So, welcome everybody to Tushita's Days of Miracle program. I think more people will join during the session. We had quite a time jump from yesterday, 7 o'clock, the day before 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So, some people might be still catching up on that one. So, we are on the ninth day of miracles. Amazing. We are moving along very quickly already. Halfway through, and we are so delighted to have as our regular guest teacher, Venerable Namjong, joining us from his home in Hawaii. Amazing. We're all a bit jealous. Not much, just a little bit. So being on a home visit. Otherwise, Venerable Namjong was a long time down in Sarah Monastery, right? One of these big Tibetan monasteries, the Tibetans in exile established after the exodus from Tibet. How many monks? Maybe Sarah J, Sarah May, 4,000?
Something like that,
Something
yeah.
like that, right? And went through that very prestigious and very amazing study program for the Geshis, right? So Venerable Namjongla finished probably, when did you go down? 16 years of that, right?
17, but who's counting?
17. Amazing. I can't. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. So thank you so much to make the time to join this program again for the fifth time, I think. Venerable Namjongla has been here since the pandemic joining us. So every year again, thank you so much. And of course, fulfilling Lama Zopa Rinpoche's wish for spreading the word about the Golden Light Sutra, right? So Venerable Namjong will explain about it. And while we're talking here online, here at Tushita, on site, we have the Golden Light Sutra reading going on every day at 1 o'clock. So we thought maybe technically possible to put it next to Lama Yeshe's stupa, but that was a bit of challenge. So it's been going on here and in many of our sister centers all around the world during the Days of Miracles. So that's great, isn't it? Thank you,
Yes,
Namjong La.
great. Well, thank you very much, Venerable Kunpen. Thank you all who are tuning in on the Zoom, and maybe some will tune in even later. So thank you very much for coming. This is a very precious opportunity. During these days of miracles, I think you know that it is said that the merit, the benefit of our virtuous actions done in these first 15 days of the Tibetan New Year, the merit is multiplied by 100 million times. So it's very important to take advantage. And while, of course, one of the best things we can do, um, the best thing we can do is to follow our Holy Guru's wishes. So as Kunpen alluded to, this practice of reciting the Golden Light Sutra was a practice that was very much emphasized by Khepje Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And so, yeah, I wanted to, in part, by means of introducing this sutra, and also partially that we can set our motivation for doing this practice, I wanted to share with you and read Rinpoche's own teaching and advice on the importance of the sutra. So, hold on a second. Okay. You can see this? All right. So, this is advice given by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. We can all sort of read together, recite the Golden Light Sutra for World Peace. So Rinpoche says, anybody who wants peace in the world should read the Golden Light Sutra, Sera Dampedo. This is a very important practice to stop violence and wars in the world. The Golden Light Sutra is one of the most beneficial ways to bring peace This is something that everyone can do no matter how busy you are. Even if you can read one page a day or a few lines in this way, continually read the Golden Light Sutra. The Holy Golden Light Sutra is the king of sutras. It is extremely powerful and fulfills all one's wishes, as well as bringing peace and enlightenment, and happiness and enlightenment for all sentient beings up to enlightenment. It is also extremely powerful for world peace and for your own protection and for the protection of the country and the world. Also, it has great healing power for people in the country. For anyone who desires peace for themselves and others, this is the spiritual or Dharma way to bring peace that doesn't require you to harm others, doesn't require you to criticize others, or even to demonstrate against others, yet can accomplish peace. Anyone can read this text, Buddhists and even non-Buddhists who desire world peace. This also protects the individuals and the country from what are labeled natural disasters of the wind element, fire element, earth element, and water element, such as earthquakes, floods, cyclones, fires, tornadoes, etc. They're not natural because they come from causes and conditions that make dangers happen. They come from past inner negative thoughts and actions of people and from external conditions. The benefits of reading the sutra are immeasurable. It is said in the text that even compared to offering precious jewels as numberless as the amount of atoms of the Pacific Ocean to numberless Buddhas, reciting just a few lines of the Sutra of Golden Light creates more merit than making these immeasurable offerings to the Buddha. Reciting this sutra directs one's life toward enlightenment. There's so much merit created by reciting the sutra. Everything is taken care of. One's life becomes so easy. Whatever one wishes for, one receives. This is because there is unbelievable purification and one collects extensive merits. This is how one liberates numberless sentient beings from the oceans of samsaric suffering and brings them to enlightenment. So here, I would like to make this request with my two palms together to please recite the Sutra of Golden Light for world peace as much as you can. So that was Rinpoche's advice from all the way back in May 2007. And later, of course, Rinpoche gave so much advice, very personalized advice to all of his students around the world. But later, it was there was sort of general advice that he wanted all of his students to do, including the text that is now known as the Transforming Suffering Life into Happiness, up to and including enlightenment, the sort of daily morning motivation verses that he composed. He also wanted his students to do the prostrations to 35 Buddhas in the morning and Vajrasattva practice at night. And then he also recommended for everyone to do the Medicine Buddha mantra, as well as Om Mani Padme Hum. And then this Sutra of Golden Light. And it's very good, as he said here, to even recite one page or a few lines every day to keep up the continuity. And then especially in these days of miracles, I always try to do at least one full recitation of the sutra. So then I get the merit of 100 million recitations. And then I sort of feel if in these first 15 days of the new year, I've practiced well, then it creates the cause for good things to happen in the rest of the year. So that is one. One bit of advice. Sorry, my screen is a bit shaky. And then here, yes. This is the actual Sutra of Golden Light. Maybe our Kunpen, do the people have this downloaded? Do we share this with them? I am doing a screenshot, but it's also available.
So the link is on our website.
Okay.
So it's right there, but maybe quite a few people would like to read along on the screen, right?
Yes. So I
Because they
will
have just one
maintain this,
device,
the
maybe.
screen,
Yeah.
but I also, I understand that there are many people from various parts of the world, and also you should know that this Golden Light Sutra is translated into many languages. So yeah, please check that out as well. Uh, and you can read in a language that is, yeah, your favorite.
We will put it in a chat right now.
Thank you very much. Not yet translated into Hawaiian language, but let's see. So this is some further advice on the sutra, as well as yeah, setting our own motivation for reciting the sutra today. So this is actually from the preface of the text that FEMT has published. So here Rinpoche says this text is very precious. It brings peace and happiness and is very powerful to stop violence. By hearing this text, one's karma is purified. So here we can think of this as a motivation that the purpose of our life is to benefit others. We can bring others the happiness of this life, but the happiness of all coming future lives is more important. More important than that is bringing sentient beings to liberation, which is free from forever from the suffering of samsara. Most beneficial is to bring them to ultimate great liberation of full enlightenment. This is the greatest service and benefit for sentient beings. To do this, we must first achieve full enlightenment ourselves. For this success in obtaining the whole path to enlightenment, listen to the Golden Light Sutra. The sutra directs our lives towards enlightenment. It helps us not be reborn in lower realms. The very first thing, the immediate danger that we need to stop immediately without delaying even 1 second, is rebirth in the lower realms. We need a higher rebirth so we can continue to practice Dharma. All negative karma is purified by listening to the sutra. Uh, so, as I like to mention, uh, so some might have the idea that, the Golden Light Sutra, this was kind of like Lama Zopa Rinpoche's uncommon advice, but that's not true. The sutra was very widespread, widely recited, widely practiced um, for uh, you know centuries in Tibet. And actually, Lama Tsongkhapa himself, in the Lamrim Chenmo, he mentions the Golden Light Sutra in the context of the purification of karma, the chapter on confession, which we will recite today, um, along with the practice of 35 Buddhas, were the two main confession prayers that Lama Tsongkhapa recommended in the Lamrim Chenmo, or his great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment. He also talks about, Lama Tsongkhapa talks about the section for generating bodhicitta. There's some very beautiful verses that we'll also recite and reflect on. So it's extremely powerful and was not only recommended by Lama Tsongkhapa, but our own precious Guru Lama Zopa Rinpoche. This text increases success, and especially for leaders like kings or presidents, it brings success to their guiding in virtue, the path to happiness. If you have problems for anyone dying or dead, or if the devas have turned against you and nothing is working, or if merely by expressing yourself, your friends, loved one, husband, wife, family members, and even servants get angry with you, if your wealth declines, or if you have harm from black magic or spirits, or if you have bad dreams or feel for things happening, then for all these problems, you should wash, put on clean clothes, and with a peaceful mind listen to the transmission of this text. Then all will be pacified. Anyone who hears it creates much merit and is highly admired by the Buddhas. So I'll mention here, it talks about listening to the transmission of the text. Rinpoche, in his yeah, infinite compassion and kindness. He had given the oral transmission of the sutra many times, and he had given it with special instructions that anyone subsequently who listens to the transmission off of the recording would also be able to receive the full transmission. So I think the one that's now recorded is from Bendigo, and you can find it on YouTube, Golden Light Sutra Transmission Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And then I think the whole thing is about 5 hours and 30 minutes. So yeah, you can break it up. You can watch, an hour a day for the next 5 days while it's still 100 million merit multiplying. And yeah, be very, very good. Um, if you have pets, you can also leave it playing when you go to work, and they'll also get much benefit. Okay. In whichever country this is taught, the whole country will benefit. The king of that country will not be attacked, and disease will be eliminated. Everyone will be happy, and the country will become harmonious and without quarrels. The king will give religious freedom and will always be protected by the devas. It is especially good to read this in places where there is a lot of fighting. As well, there will be prosperity, and rains will come at the right time. It would be excellent to go into countries where there is much killing and read this precious sutra 100 times or any number of times. This would be very valuable, very beneficial. So just an idea, something I practice, and think it would be good for others as well. So when I travel here and there, then sometimes I'll even just have a few hours layover in a particular city. On my way to Hawaii, I had a 8 hour layover in Japan, and I made sure that when I was in Japan, I at least recited uh, a few pages of the sutra. So then, wherever you go, in whatever country you might go to and find yourselves, even to do a few pages is going to offer extensive benefit to that whole country. And then, of course, if you can go into these countries where there is much killing, and well, unfortunately, there's quite a few of those these days, then also to read this would be very beneficial to everyone there. Anyone who keeps, memorizes, or contributes to this text exceeds the 8 worldly beings, and all their wishes will be fulfilled. Buddha told the 4 guardians to make offerings and serve this text, and to always protect the people who memorize or even just read it. The 4 guardians acknowledged they would protect those who read it and would help and fulfill all their wishes. Memorizing or making offering to this text is like making inconceivable offerings to the Buddha. Enlightenment will never be reversed for anyone into whose ear these holy words are spoken. The life will always be directed toward enlightenment, and one will never fall back. The Deva Hamachiwa Pala told Buddha that she will protect the bhikshu who recites this text, and he will receive all that is needed, property, a stable mind, and so forth. Whoever even tries to read or understand this text will experience the comfort and happiness of devas and humans for 100 billion eons, fame and perfect crops, and will become a Buddha. The Earth Goddess definitely will help, even if only one chapter or one bodhisattva's name is mentioned. She will protect those sinning beings who read and try to understand even one verse and fulfill their wishes. Those sinning beings who hear only one verse will never go to lower realms. The Buddha told the Earth Goddess that even if a person hears only one verse, they will be born in the Deva realm. Further, the Buddha told the Earth Goddess the non-virtuous karma of the person who hears even one verse will be eliminated, and they will achieve enlightenment. So, are we excited? Yes. We should, just rejoice so much that we have the precious opportunity to come into contact with this text, come into contact with our guru who advised and propagated this text and emphasized that we, his students and all beings in the world, should read it. We should rejoice in the fact that we have time to take out of our busy schedules, and especially during these days of miracles, to be able to come together as a global community and with this motivation of bodhicitta, wishing to benefit all beings in the world and the whole universe, that we're now going to do this sutra reading for them, even if they don't know us, even if we don't know them, if they're a sentient being, if they exist in samsara, then they have one kind of problem, one kind of suffering or another, and we're doing this for them. And especially all those who are sick, all those who recently died. And then, of course, to just put an end immediately to all the war in the world, particularly in Ukraine and in Gaza, all over the world, all the conflict, all the fighting, all the violence to instantly be pacified. Then it also talks about the great benefit to the earth and the environment. So right now there is a cyclone hitting Queensland in Australia. So the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast around Brisbane. So that these natural disasters like earthquakes, like cyclones, like volcanic eruptions, the problems due to climate change, tsunamis, any cause of suffering of body and mind in this world or any of the world systems of the 10 directions, we are going to recite this sutra so they all be pacified. Mm. And then having these proximate causes of suffering be pacified, then that usher in a new era of peace where all beings have conditioned to the best conditions to practice Dharma and gain realization, and that way become enlightenment as quickly as possible. So that's why we're doing the sutra. And then, of course, for the long lives of the spiritual friends, particularly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and that all of His Holiness wishes be immediately fulfilled. For the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, that his unmistaken incarnation may again appear in this world and show the aspect of being extremely beneficial for sentient beings through teaching, guiding, and his mere presence. And that all of his holy wishes be immediately fulfilled, which would include that all the centers of the FPMT have success in all of their activities, and particularly Tushita Meditation Center in Dharamsala. So for all these reasons, we're doing this sutra recitation here today. Good. So here, yeah, I know it says Sangata Sutra, but this guide for reading Sangata is actually the same advice holds true for any sutra. Since we've already been talking for a while, we can just start with some basic guidelines. So these sutras can be recited in any language. No prerequisite, no initiation, transmission are required, although I mentioned it is very good to receive the oral transmission of the sutra, which you can do off of YouTube. They say, or Kirti Sinshop Rinpoche said that the power, the benefit of making the recitation after one receives the transmission, it is multiplied 100 times. So then this is important. We recite out loud. So even if it's very quiet, you can recite out loud. And the idea is in reciting is to reproduce the sutra with our body, speech, and mind. For that, reciting requires us to use our vocal cords, even if we recite quietly. However, it is especially important for the sound to be audible if pets or other animals are within the earshot. The sutra itself explains the vast benefits received by those whose ear the sutra reaches, even without understanding. So, very important. I'll just, also mention, and those of you who had the good fortune to meet Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you will have definitely see him interact with animals. So even when he would meet an animal, reciting various mantras, even if it's on the street. So these little things we can do to benefit sentient beings is very, 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 very good. So Rinpoche explains, if you don't read the sutra out loud, then you're cheating yourself and missing the chance to create the merit of speech. It is good to place your palms together in prostration while reciting, as you might if Buddha were present and addressing you directly. So yeah, just skimming over then, people usually find it most effective to read the sutra all at once rather than doing postural recitations. However, it's also totally fine to do partial recitations. And then to do it as a group is very good. So like that. Okay. So then, first in general, before you begin reciting, fill your heart with love and compassion toward all the ascending beings. Have we done that? Yes. Then we have these three contemplations when we do the recitation. We think that we're reciting to all the sentient beings in the place where you are and all the sentient beings in the six realms. So kind of like at the beginning of the Jorcha, the preliminary practices when we meditate on Lam Rim, you visualize all the sentient beings around us, right? So we can do that here too. Then we think that we're receiving the words directly from Buddha. And then think as you hear the words, the meanings actualize in your mind and you generate perfect understanding. Okay? A lot to think about, but it's going to make our recitations that much more powerful. So, with that, then we have about an hour, which I don't think we're going to be able to finish the whole thing, because also at the end I wanted to stop a little bit early and we can all recite the swift return prayers for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. But what I did think, and let me just go back to the table of contents. So this is the 21 chapter version. There are 29 and 31 chapter versions as well. So what I thought we could do, this confession chapter is the one Lama Tsongkhapa had mentioned was very powerful for purification. And then the source of lotuses is, very beautiful praise. So I thought we could do these first 5 chapters. Then there's this chapter 12, the Royal Treatise entitled The Inviolable Commitments of Divine Kings. And so, how do I put this? Since there's been some political turmoil recently in the world, to sort of create the cause that our world leaders act with, virtue and kindness toward all beings, then I think it's very good to recite this chapter. Okay? Then, this chapter on the tigress is recounts the story of one of the Buddha's previous lives, where, well, spoiler alert, the Buddha gives his body to a tigress. And it's one of the most sort of moving and inspirational stories from the Buddha's past lives. And I would like to recite that so we also can rejoice and generate fine appreciation for the sacrifice made by the Buddha. Then let's see. if we, have bonus time, we can go from there. Okay? Mm, so let's just do this. Let's do some preliminary prayers. So we visualize all the sentient beings in front of us, visualize the Buddha in front of us, and then recalling the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and aspiring to attain those qualities ourselves. Then we take refuge and generate bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Then we can do the 7 prayer. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. So now next, offerings. So you'll see, I'm not sure we're going to recite it today, but within the Golden Light Sutra, it talks about the benefits of offering incense to the sutra. So if you have incense where you are, you can light it. We can offer it together. If you don't, I have 2 sticks of incense here, which we can offer together. Frangipani incense. Frangipani, just so you guys know, in Hawaii, that's called the plumeria. So since I had this, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, I wanted to offer this very fragrant floral incense. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. Okay. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merit and those of all others to the great enlightenment. And we'll do the short mandala offering and then the special request for the 3 purposes that we can do just once. So here, offering the mandala, we're offering everything beautiful in the whole universe. This ground anointed with perfumes, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru. 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is the Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and the 3 precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all wrong conceptions, from incorrect devotion to the Guru up to the self-dual view of the right, red, and dark visions that exist in my mind and the minds of all other sentient beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations up from Guru devotion up to enlightenment in my mind and the mind of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all outer and inner obstacles to actualizing the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all mother sentient beings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niratayami. Then another merit multiplying mantra. Again, you can recite before the other recitations you do. Tayata Om Dari Dari Bindari Soha. 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 Then again, as we recite, visualize that the Buddha is giving you these teachings, and then also all the beings who hear your recitation, they are gaining realization, they're gaining purification, and so forth. Okay? All right. So with that, also, if you have some water, it's okay. Keep the throat nice and lubricated. Mm. Just on the title page. The King of Glory Sutra is called the Exalted Sublime Golden Light of Mahayana Sutra. In the language of India, Arya Suvana Prabha Sotama Sutra Daraja Mahayana Sutra. In language of Tibet, Pakpa Se Dampe Do Wangpo Gyalpo Shechawa Tekpa Chenpu Do. Chapter 1. The chapter on the preamble to the King of Glory Sutras, the Sublime Golden Light. Homage to all the past, present, and future Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Prateka Buddhas, and Shravakas. Thus I have heard at one time that Tathagata, entering the Buddha's domain of experience, the profound sphere of reality, at Vulture's Peak, expounded to Supreme Bodhisattvas, who were pure and stainless, this King of Glory Sutras, the Sublime Golden Light, which is extremely powerful upon hearing and profound upon examination. The Buddhas in the four directions confer their blessings, blessings from Akshobhya in the east, Ratnaketu in the south, Amitabha in the west, and Dundu Bishvara in the north. In order to extinguish all unwholesome deeds, I will proclaim this auspicious sublime discourse that exhausts all negative karma, grants all peace and happiness, completely eliminates suffering, which is adorned with all that is glorious, and is the foundation of omniscience. Granting blessings, this I shall explain. Sentient beings whose senses are defective, whose life expectancy has ended or is fading, whom the gods have turned against, are burdened by misfortune, hated by their loved ones, or oppressed as household servants, in conflict with one another, afflicted with decline in material wealth, grief-stricken and miserable, ridden with fear and stricken by poverty, troubled by stars, planetary bodies, and fierce demonic spirits, or who see excruciating nightmares, following grief and fatigue. They should bathe well to render themselves clean and listen to the Sublime Sutra. Should those with virtuous intent and pure mind adorn themselves well in clean garments, and then listen to the Sutra on the Profound, the domain of Buddha's experience. Through the all-inspiring power of the Sutra, the suffering of all creatures, the life of which cannot be endured, will be forever pacified. Protection will be offered to them by guardians of the world, their ministers and army chiefs, 10,000s of millions of yakshas, the great goddess Sarasvati, and the goddess who dwells in the Nairanjana, by Hariti, the mother of Bhutas, the earth goddess Dirga, by the Brahma kings and the kings of the 33, the powerful kings of serpents, kings of Kinaras, and kings of Asuras, and likewise by the king of Garudas. They, with their clans and might, will arrive along with their mounts, and unfailingly day and night offer protection to beings. I will clearly expound the Sutra on the Profound, the domain of Buddha's experience. The secret of all Buddha is difficult to find in tens of millions of eons. Those who hear the sutra, those who cause others to hear it, those who rejoice upon hearing it and make offerings to it, for tens of millions of eons shall be venerated by gods and nagas, humans and kinnaras, asuras and yakshas. For beings without merit, their store of merit will grow into a limitless, incalculable, inconceivable mass. Fiercely, they will be protected by Buddhas in the 10 directions, likewise, also by Buddhas engaged in the profound, clad in clean garments, wearing well-perfumed clothes, possessing a mind firm with love. Without distraction, one should honor the sutra. Render the mind spotless and put forth effort to make it expansive and intensely clear, then listen to the Sublime Sutra. Those who listen to the Sutra will be acclaimed among humans, attain an excellent human existence, and live a life of comfort. Those into whose ears the sublime discourse is echoed will have merit roots refined, and numerous Buddhas will extol them. This ends the first chapter, the chapter on the preamble to the King of Glory Sutra, the Sublime Golden Light. Chapter 2. Chapter on the span of the Tathagata's life. Furthermore, at that time, during that period in the great city of Rajagriha, there dwelt the Bodhisattva, the great being Ruchiraketu, who had venerated previous Buddhas, cultivated roots of virtue, and rendered service to many hundreds of thousands and millions of Buddhas. He thought to himself, what cause and what condition will cause the Lord Shakyamuni to live for only 80 years? That is such a short life. Furthermore, he thought, the Lord has himself declared there are two causes and two conditions which prolong life. What are the two? They are, namely, renouncing killing and giving food wholly. As for the Lord Shakyamuni, he renounced killing for many incalculable hundreds of thousands of millions of eons. He perfectly adhered to the path of the 10 virtuous actions. He gave away food and external and internal objects completely. Not only that, he satisfied hungry living beings with the flesh, blood, bones, and marrow of his own body. Then, while the sublime being entertained such thoughts, With regard to the Tathagata, his house transformed into a vast and expansive palace made of lapis lazuli, embellished with numerous divine jewels, its color transformed by the Tathagata, and filled with perfumes surpassing those of the gods. In the four directions emerged four thrones made of divine jewels. These thrones came to be covered with mats of divine jewels and fine cotton raiment. And on those thrones there appeared divine lotuses adorned with numerous jewels, their color transformed by the Tathagata. From those lotuses arose four transcendent victor Buddhas. In the east appeared the Tathagata Akshobhya. In the south appeared the Tathagata Ratnaketu. In the west appeared the Tathagata Amitayus. And in the north appeared the Tathagata Dundubishvara. When those Tathagatas appeared on those lined thrones, the great city of Rajgriha was filled with bright light. That light pervaded all triple thousand great thousand world systems in the 10 directions, and world systems as many as grains of sand in the Ganges River. In addition, divine flowers rained down, and divine music resounded. Through the power of the Buddha, all sentient beings in the triple thousand great thousand worlds too became possessed of the joy of the gods. Beings whose senses were incomplete became possessed of complete senses. Beings blind from birth saw forms with their eyes. Deaf beings heard sound with ears. Insane beings regained their sanity. Distracted beings became focused. Naked beings became clothed in garments. Hungry beings became full bellied. Thirsty beings were cleansed. Beings afflicted with illness became free of disease. Beings whose bodily organs were defective became possessed of complete organs. Many astounding events took place in the world. Upon seeing those Buddhas, the Bodhisattva Ruchiraketu was greatly astounded. He was satiated, pleased, joyful, and delighted. Feeling happy and ecstatic, with hands folded in the direction of the Tathagata, he bowed in homage. Remembering those Tathagatas, then reflecting on the qualities of the Tathagata Shakyamuni Buddha, he was vexed with misgiving about the lifespan of the Tathagata Shakyamuni Buddha. He wondered, how is it that the Lord Shakyamuni will live a brief life of only 80 years? Those Tathagatas, while knowing and realizing his thoughts, spoke to him as thus. O child of the noble family, do not think the Lord Shakyamuni will have such a short lifespan. Why? Because, O child of noble family, except for the perfectly and fully enlightened conqueror Tathagatas, we do not see among the world of gods, Mars, or Brahman, among ascetics or Brahmins, gods, humans, or asuras, anyone who could perceive the furthest future reaches of the lifespan of the Tathagata Lord Shakyamuni. As soon as those Tathagatas expressed this observation on the lifespan of the Tathagata Shakyamuni Buddha, then by the power of the Tathagata, the gods residing in the desire and form realms, including Nagas, Yakshas, Gandhavas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinars, and Mahoragas, as well as numerous hundreds of thousands of millions of bodhisattvas, gathered and went to the house of the Bodhisattva Ruchiraketu. Then those Tathagatas proclaimed in verse this explanation of the lifespan of Tathagata Shakyamuni to the entire gathering. The drops of water in all the oceans can be measured, but no one can measure the lifespan of Shakyamuni. To the finest particle, the atoms of Mount Sumeru can be gauged, but no one can gauge the lifespan of Shakyamuni. The number of finest particles existing on this earth can be measured, but not the span of the conqueror's life. Although through some device one may wish to measure space, no one can measure the lifespan of Shakyamuni. The number cannot be found that explains the fully enlightened Buddha lives this long, this many eons, in eon terms, such as 100 million eons. There are two causes and two conditions for this: renouncing deadly violence and repeatedly giving plentiful food. The finite count of the lifespan of this great being that explains he will live for this many eons cannot be found. The eons are indeed uncountable, hence have no doubt, not even the slightest doubt. The finite limit of the conqueror's life is not observed anywhere. Then, at that time in that assembly, the Brahmin teacher and expounder called Kaudinya, along with numerous thousands of Brahmins venerated Tathagata, on hearing the voice of those great Tathagatas completely gone beyond sorrow, they gathered in that place at once. Bowing at the feet of the Tathagata, the Brahmin teacher and expounder Kaudinya said to the Tathagata, if the Lord transcendent victor is merciful to all living beings, compassionate, desirous of serving, apparent to all, equal to the unequaled, illuminating like the moon, wisdom and knowledge glowing like the sun, if you look upon all beings as upon your son Rahula, then please give me some guidance. The Tathagata remained silent. Then, through the power of the Tathagata in that assembly, confidence grew in a Lichavi youth called Sarva Loka Priya Darshana, and he spoke thus to the Brahmin teacher and expounder Kaudinya. Why do you seek guidance, great Brahmin, from the Buddha? I will give the guidance you seek. The Brahmin said, for the sake of honoring the Buddha, Livachi youth, and for the sake of receiving a share of relic powder, I wish to have a relic of the Buddha the size of a mustard seed. It is said that if one honors a relic the size of a mustard seed, one attains lordship over the gods of the 33, O Livachi youth, to the King of Glory Sutra, the Sublime Golden Light, which has features and qualities such as being difficult for all Shravakas and Prateka Buddhas to know and to comprehend, O Lichavi youth. The Sutra of Sublime Golden Light is in this way difficult to know and difficult to comprehend. Hence, we Brahmins of remote areas wish to have a relic the size of a mustard seed, which, when held, either placed in a bowl or kept on the body, causes living beings to attain lordship over the gods of the 33. Why wouldn't you, O Lichavi youth, wish to receive a relic the size of a mustard seed from the Tathagata and keep it in an urn so that living beings may attain lordship over the gods of the 33? O Lichavi youth, I seek such a boon. Then Savaloka Pri Darshana, the Lichavi youth, replied in verse to the Brahmin teacher and expounder, Kaudinya. When white lilies grow in the Ganges swift currents, when crows become red and cuckoos turn the color of conch, when palm fruit grows on the rose apple tree, and on the date tree mangoes form, at that time a relic the size of a mustard seed will appear. When from tortoise hair, cloth shielding winter's bite can be woven well, then there will be a relic. When from the legs of gnats, multi-storied towers can be well built, solidly firm and never shaking, then there will be a relic. When all leeches grow white teeth, sharp and big, then there will be a relic. When from the horns of rabbits ladders can be built well in order to climb high, then there will be a relic. Climbing this ladder should a mouse eat the moon and harm Rahu as well, then there will be a relic. When the bees that buzz in towns drink a pitcher of wine and make a dwelling in a house, then there will be a relic. When donkeys become happy, well versed in singing and dancing, their lips ruddy like the bimba fruit, then there will be a relic. When owls and crows flock to solitude, frolic together and become friendly, then there will be a relic. When the leaves of the palasha tree become an umbrella made of 3 jewels that keeps off the rain, then there will be a relic. When large ocean vessels fitted with turning devices and sails float and sail on land, then there will be a relic. When owls move freely, lifting the Gandhamandana mountain in their beaks, then there will be a relic. After hearing these verses, the Brahmin teacher and expounder, Kaudinya, replied to Sarvaloka Pridashana, the Vachi youth. Excellent, excellent. Supreme youth, the son of Buddha's great orator, heroic and skillful means you have received the sublime prophecy. Listen to me, O youth, concerning the inconceivable greatness of the Tathagata, the protector and savior of the world. The realm of Buddhas is inconceivable, and the Tathagatas are peerless. All Buddhas are ever serene. All Buddhas are perfectly emerged. All Buddhas are of the same hue, such as the suchness of Buddhas. The Lord Transcendent Victor is uncontrived. The Tathagata is unborn. His body, hard as a vajra, manifests emanated forms. Thus, no small relic, no relic, small as a mustard seed of the great sages to be found. Since his body is without bone and blood, how could it be a relic? Yet, to benefit living beings, skillfully relics are formed. Dharmakaya, the complete Buddha, Dharmadhatu, the Tathagata, akin to the deed of teaching Dharma. These are the body of the Lord. Because I heard and knew this, I sought this sublime gift. To make this truth plain and clear, thus I initiated this discourse. Then, having heard such a profound explanations of the Tathagata's span of life, all 32,000 sons of the gods generated altruistic resolve for peerless and perfect enlightenment, their minds filled with intense joy. They spoke these verses in a single voice. The Buddha does not enter complete nirvana, neither does the Dharma cease to be. Yet, for the ripening of ascending beings, Tathagata's manifest, passing beyond suffering. The transcendent victor Buddha is inconceivable. Though the Tathagata's body is permanent, it pervades a multitude of forms for the welfare of sinning beings. Having heard these discourses explain the lifespan of Tathagata Shakyamuni, Buddha from these Tathagatas. And the two great beings, the Bodhisattva, Richivaketu, was thoroughly satiated, pleased, extremely delighted, and filled with joy. He was overwhelmed with great bliss of mind. While this discourse on the Tathagata span of life was being given, inconceivable, countless innate beings generated altruistic resolve for peerless and perfect enlightenment. Then those Tathagatas vanished in that very spot. This ends the second chapter, the chapter on the span of the Tathagata's life, from the King of Glory Sutras, the Sublime Golden Light. So I know it's a little bit fast, maybe, for some of you. So just, do your best. I'm having a Ricola. Keep the throat lubricated. Yes, from the mountains of Switzerland to the oceans of Hawaii. It's a truly global affair. Okay? Chapter 3, the chapter on seeing the dream. Then the Bodhisattva, Richivaketu, slid into sleep. He dreamed he saw a golden drum, its light shining like the orb of the sun. In every direction, countless inconceivable numbers of Tathagatas were preaching the Dharma, seated on lapis thrones at the foot of jeweled trees, completely surrounded by numerous hundreds of thousands of retinues. Then he saw a being in the form of a Brahmin beating that drum. From the sound of the drum, these and similar confessional verses issued forth. Then the Bodhisattva Richivaketu awoke and remembered those verses at once. Having remembered those verses, when night came to an end, he, along with many thousands of beings, left the great city of Rajagriha. He arrived at the village to speak where the Tathagata was. Having reached there, he prostrated himself at the feet of the Tathagata, circumambulated the Tathagata 3 times, and sat to one side. Sitting to one side, the Bodhisattva Richivaketu bowed to the Tathagata with hands folded in respect and recited those confessional verses he heard coming forth from the drum. This ends the third chapter, the chapter on seeing the dream from the King of Glory Sutra of the Sublime Golden Light. Chapter 4, chapter on confession. One night without distraction, I dreamed a vivid dream. I saw a large and beautiful drum filling the world with golden light and glowing like the sun, beaming brightly to all places. It was seen from 10 directions everywhere. Buddhas were seated on thrones of precious lapis at the foot of jeweled trees, facing assemblies of many hundreds of thousands. I saw a form like that of a Brahmin fiercely beat upon the drum when he struck it. These verses issued forth. So, by the way, the part that Lama Tsongkhapa recommended for meditating on bodhicitta starts here. Yeah, so it's a very beautiful aspiration. By the sound of this majestic drum of golden light, may the suffering of lower migration yama and the poverty of the 3 realms of the triple thousand worlds cease to be. By the sound of this majestic drum, may the ignorance of the world be dispelled, with fears quelled, just as vanquishing sages are unafraid. May ascended beings become fearless and brave. Just as the omniscient vanquishing sage in the world is possessed of every excellence of the Aryas, may countless beings too possess oceans of qualities, concentration, and the wings of enlightenment. By the sound of this majestic drum, may all beings be endowed with the melody of Brahma. May they touch sublime enlightenment of Buddhas. May they turn the virtuous wheel of the Dharma. Remaining for inconceivable eons, may they teach the Dharma to guide migrating beings, conquering delusion and overcoming affliction. May their attachment, hatred, and ignorance be pacified. May ascended beings who have fallen to lower migrations, whose bodies of bone are alight with blazing flame, hear the speech of this majestic drum. May the proclamation, homage to the Tathagata, be heard. In the course of hundreds of births and tens of thousands of millions of births, may every being remember their former lives, hear these teachings completely, and always recall the vanquishing sages. By the sound of the majestic drum, may beings always find the company of Buddhas, thoroughly renouncing every harmful act. May they engage in only virtuous deeds. For humans, gods, and all creatures, Whatever thoughts and wishes they have, may every wish be totally fulfilled by the sound of this majestic drum. For beings born in the most terrible hells, bodies alight with blazing flame, who wander without aim, bereft of refuge, filled with grief, may tormenting fires utterly end. For those who bear the suffering of humans, for hell beings, animals, and hungry ghosts, may every suffering be completely dispelled by the sound of this majestic drum. For those who are without refuge, without base, support, or friend, may I become their supreme refuge, their base, their support and friend. Supreme among bipeds, O Buddhas dwelling in the worlds of 10 directions, with merciful and compassionate mind, please pay attention to me. O Buddhas possessed of 10 powers, those terrible wicked acts I committed in the past, before your eyes I confess them all. Whatever unwholesome deeds I've done, not holding parents as parents, not holding Buddhas as Buddhas, not upholding virtuous deeds, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done, haughty with the vanity of wealth, haughty with age and youthfulness, haughty with the pride of affluence and class, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done through harmful thoughts, harmful words, and the thought of harm as harmless, and harmful actions done, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done, acting with the mind of a child, a mind dark with ignorance, or under the sway of a non-virtuous friend, greatly charged with emotion, discontent with wealth, afflicted with depression and malaise, or under the impulse of frivolous play, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done through mixing with vile characters of non-Aryas, through jealousy and miserliness, and through poverty and guile, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done when poverty came to me, fearing loss of the desirable, and stricken with a dearth of material goods, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done under the power of flighty mind, ruled by desire and hatred, or oppressed by hunger and thirst, whatever unwholesome deeds I've done when oppressed by affliction for the sake of pursuing women, or acquiring food, drink, and attire. Through misdeeds of body, speech, and mind, I have amassed threefold wrong acts. In these 3 ways, whatever I have done, these deeds I confess in full. Whatever I have done, disrespecting Buddhas, the Dharma, and Shravaks too, these deeds I confess in full. Actions I have done lacking respect to Prateka Buddhas as well as to Bodhisattvas, these deeds I confess in full. Disrespect I have shown to those who preach the Dharma, likewise, contempt of the Dharma itself, these deeds I confess in full. Continually unaware of its benefit, I have rejected the sublime Dharma. I have shown unwitting insolence to parents, these deeds I confess in full. Childish and veiled by stupidity, blind with desire and hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and pride, these deeds I confess in full. I shall place uncountable beings upon I missed one stanza. Honoring those who possess 10 powers, I shall worship those dwelling in all 10 directions. I shall deliver sending beings inhabiting every world, every realm from all suffering. I shall place uncountable beings upon Bodhisattva's 10 grounds. Abiding in these 10 stages, may they all become Tathagatas, until I am capable of freeing them all from countless oceans of suffering. For 10 million eons, I shall strive for the sake of even one sentient being. To these sentient beings I shall reveal the sutra called Sublime Golden Light, which rids one of every harmful misdeeds and expounds upon the profound. Those who for 1,000 eons committed deadly unwholesome deeds, by confessing them earnestly once through the sutra, all will be purified. Swiftly and wholly consuming all karmic obscurations by making confession through the Sublime Golden Light, I shall abide on 10 Bodhisattva grounds, on those mines of supreme precious jewels, that I may shine with the Tathagatas marks and signs and bring free beings from the ocean of existence. Through Buddhas who are the water of oceans, their inconceivable Tathagata qualities akin to the ocean's profound depth, I shall evolve into an omniscient being. Having become a Buddha, I shall possess 10 powers, hundreds of thousands of concentrations, inconceivable magical mantra incantations, enlightenment 7 wings, the 5 powers and 5 forces. O Buddhas who continually look upon beings, I request you to gaze intently upon me, your compassionate minds always overflowing. May you hold the remorseful always near. Due to countless sinful actions performed in hundreds of eons past, my mind is pierced and stricken with grief, wretchedness, sorrow, and fear. Solemnly fearing unwholesome deeds, I shall always keep my mind modest. Wherever I commit the smallest action, I will not succumb to frivolous excitement. Since Buddhas are compassionate and dispel the fright of all beings, I entreat them to hold the remorseful fast and free us from every fear. May the Tathagatas keep at bay my negative karma and emotion. May the Buddhas always bathe me with the water of compassion. I confess all unwholesome deeds, whatever I've done in the past, whatever is done in the present. These deeds I confess in full. I shall not conceal or hide harmful actions I have done. In future times I shall refrain from deeds that render me full of shame. Three actions of the body, fourfold of the voice, threefold of the mind, these deeds I confess in full. Actions I have done through my body and speech, clearly impelled by the mind. Those tenfold actions I accomplish, these deeds I confess in full. Renouncing the 10 unwholesome deeds and cultivating those 10 which are moral, I will come to abide on 10 grounds and acquire the Buddha's 10 great powers. Every unwholesome deed I have done that leads to unwanted results. In the presence of the Buddhas, these deeds I confess in full. In the wholesome, virtuous actions of those dwelling in Jambudvipa, and those living in other worlds too, in these deeds I rejoice. Likewise, whatever merit I have gathered through body, speech, and mind, by the force of this virtue's riveting effect, may supreme enlightenment be attained. Deeds committed on samsara's precarious wheel, those actions influenced by childish mind, approaching the presence of the peerless 10 powers, all these deeds I confess in full. Wretched with delusion of the childish and foolish, wretched through association with non-virtuous friends, wretched with existence, wretched with desire, wretched with hatred, wretched with ignorance, wretched with fatigue, wretched with time, and wretched in accomplishing virtue, I approach the incomparable conquerors and confess all negative deeds individually. I prostrate to the Buddhas, oceans of virtue, golden like Mount Sumeru, going for refuge, I bow my head in prostration to the golden conquerors. Their compassionate light spells the double mantle of darkness. Buddhas are suns, blazing glory, splendor, and renown. Golden in color, eyes fine as pure faultless lapis, they glow with a glitter of pure gold. Their exquisite and beautiful limbs are utterly flawless and perfectly formed. From pristine limbs, the Buddha's sun radiates shafts of golden light. Consumed by the flame of negative passion, sentient beings blazed by fire, they are refreshed and soothed by the moonlike light of the Buddhas. 32 major marks render their senses exquisitely refined. Filled with merit and glory, they, like splendid rays of spinning light, they orbit as does the sun in the darkness of the triple realms. Pure as lapis with an array of rich color, exquisitely adorned by myriad webs of light, your limbs resemble the crystal, silver and crimson of dawn, like the sun, O sages, you are enchantingly glorious. For those fallen into the great river of cyclic existence, tossed amidst crushing waves of sorrow and death, may abundant immense rays of the sun, that is the Tathagata, deplete the ocean of samsara, violent and cruel. With limbs shining brightly, the color of gold, they are wisdom's source, peerless among the three realms. Their limbs are adorned with intensely charming marks. I prostrate to the Buddhas, whose bodies sparkle gold. Just as water in the ocean cannot be measured, just as dust on earth is utterly without end, just as Mount Sumeru possesses matchless stone, and the edge of space is infinitely unknown. Likewise, the virtues of Buddhas are limitless. If sentient beings took the measure of their qualities and for countless eons reflected upon them, still the extent of their virtue could not be seen. If for counted for eons, one may possibly know what are droplets at hair ends of particles of Earth's mountains, oceans, and rocks, but not the limit of Buddha's virtue. May sentient beings evolve into such Buddhas, grace with virtue, color, fame, and renown, their bodies embellished with major marks of goodness, and the sublime 80 minor signs. Through these virtuous actions, I shall soon become a Buddha on this earth. Preaching the doctrine that guides the world, I shall free beings forever afflicted by suffering. I shall triumph over Mara with his army and might. I shall turn the wheel of virtuous Dharma. Abiding for inconceivable eons, I shall satisfy sentient beings with the water of Dharma's nectar. Just as conquerors of the past completed 6 perfections, these perfections I too shall fully achieve. My ignorance, hatred, and desire pacified, I shall conquer delusion and dispel pain. I shall always remember my former births, hundreds of existences, and 10 millions of lives, always recalling the vanquishing sages. I shall listen to their teachings in full. Through these virtuous actions, I shall always find the company of Buddhas. Accomplishing virtue, the source of every excellence, I shall thoroughly renounce unwholesome deeds. May the creatures of samsara's various realms be at peace without the misery of their worlds. May beings who lack sense faculties or hold defective ones be endowed with powers complete. For beings feeble in body, afflicted with disease, and in all 10 directions devoid of defense, may they swiftly be free of their ailments, obtain perfect senses, strength, and good health. For those imperiled by threats and death from kings or thugs, tormented by numerous hundreds of afflictions, may these beings, wretched, weak with sorrow, be free from hundreds of horrific fears. For those who are tortured, bound, and beaten, distressed by passion, or captured by delusion, may these beings, fearful, faced with sorrow, be freed from shackles of bondage. May those who are beaten find freedom from beating. May those facing murder be endowed with life. May those who are feeble be without fear. May beings tortured by hunger, craving, and thirst immediately find a wealth of food and drink. May the blind see an abundance of forms, and the deaf hear captivating sounds. May the naked find plentiful attire, and the poor find mines of treasure. Through the wealth of riches, grain, and jewels, may beings be endowed with serenity and joy. May no being face the pain of affliction. May all beings be attractive and handsome, endowed with exquisite, beautiful, auspicious forms. May every life be replete with infinite joy. As soon as they wish, may there immediately be food, drink, great affluence and merit, large drums, lutes, and piwang, springs, pools, water holes, and ponds, imbued with blue and golden lotuses. Likewise, may they receive at once food, drink, clothing, and wealth, gems like lapis, golden ornaments, pearls, and jewels. May no sound of woe be heard anywhere in the world, and not one being in poor health be seen. Instead, may beings have great complexion. In each other's radiance, may they mutually shine. Whatever forms of excellence there are in the human world, wherever they are wished for, may these come to be. The moment they arise through the ripening of virtue, may the aspiration of sentient beings be fulfilled. May perfume, incense, garlands, and ointments, clothing, powder, and abundant flowers rain down from the trees 3 times. Thus may sentient beings be filled with joy. May they venerate inconceivable Tathagatas in all 10 directions, completing Bodhisattvas, Shavakas, and likewise the flawless, pristine Dharma. May migrating beings avoid the lower realms. May they go beyond the 8 unfortunate states. May they attain the 8 auspicious conditions. May meetings with Buddhas always be received, always born in higher classes. May beings be replete with wealth and with grain for numerous eons. May they be endowed with great form, renown, complexion, and fame. May all women become like men, heroic, learned, lucid, and strong, endeavoring to complete the 6 perfections. May they incessantly strive for enlightenment. May they come to behold Buddhas in 10 directions, seated at ease upon precious lapis thrones, under bejeweled, exquisite, stately trees. May they hear the Buddha's Dharma explained. Unwholesome deeds I have performed and created in wretched existence past. May those negative effects which ripen due to deeds be completely extinguished. May those beings who are tied to existence, tightly bound by the rope of the cyclic round, unravel their bondage with a wisdom hand and quickly be free from all suffering. Whatever beings here in Jambudvipa and other world spheres too perform profound virtuous acts, in these deeds I rejoice in full. Through the merit of actions of body, speech, and mind, through rejoicing in others' virtue, may every fruit of my prayers and practice unfold. May the pristine, peerless enlightenment be attained. Those who recite this dedication, who prostrate and praise with an unsoiled mind, always devout and free of stains, shall avoid terrible rebirth for 60 eons. By reciting these prayers and verses, men, women, Brahmins, royals, who praised the conqueror with folded hands will remember births in every life. They shall receive bodies adorned with complete limbs and senses, myriad merits and virtue. The Lord of humans will honor them always. Such will they be in each place of birth. Into those into whose ears this confession enters have not performed virtue under just one Buddha, not two, nor four, nor five, nor 10, nor in the presence of merely 100,000 Buddhas have they completed virtue. This ends the fourth chapter, the chapter on confession, from the King of Glory Sutras, the Sublime Golden Light. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead to the chapter on the commitments of divine kings. Hmm. Okay, let's do it like this. We'll go to the table of contents. 84. Okay. Chapter 12, chapter on the world treatise entitled The Inviolable Commitments of Divine Kings. Homage to the Tathagata, they are the fully enlightened Ratna. Kusuma Guna Sagara Vaidurya Kana Kagiri Suvarna Kanchana Kaba Sashri. Homage to the Tathagata, the Arhat, the fully enlightened Shakyamuni, whose body is adorned with hundreds of thousands of millions of virtues, and who makes the light of Dharma, this Dharma, blaze forth. Homage to the great goddess Shri, endowed with boundless virtue, grain, and good fortune. Homage to the great goddess Sarasvati, endowed with wisdom's limitless qualities. Then at that time, at that moment, King Balendra Ketu said this to his son, King Ruchiraketu, whom he had enthroned and who had not been long in royalty. Son, there is a royal treatise called The Inviolable Commitments of the Divine Kings, which, not long after I was enthroned, I received from my father, King Varendra Ketu. I reigned the kingdom for 20,000 years according to that royal treatise, and I do not recollect being on the wrong side for even a single moment of thought. O son, what then is this royal treatise, the inviolable commitments of divine kings? O noble goddess, at that time, at that moment, King Balendra Ketu clearly expounded the inviolable commitments of divine kings, the royal treatise, to his son, King Ruchiraketu, in these verses. I will explain the royal treatise which benefits all beings, cuts through misgiving, and extinguishes every misdeed. O kings, one by one, be in a state of delight. Listen with your hands folded in reverence to this entire commitments of divine kings. Here at Vajrakata, the king of mountains, when the divine lords assembled, all the world protectors stood up to ask Brahma, the divine king, O Brahma, you are the principal god, you are the divine king. May you cut through our qualms, may you dispel our doubt. Why is a king born among humans called divine? For what reason is he called the divine son? Born in the world of humans, he would be a human king. How do gods wield divine kingship among men? When Lord Brahma was asked thus by the protectors of the world, Brahma, the chief of gods, replied in this way: As the guardians of the world ask me thus, for the benefit of beings, I shall reveal the sublime treatise. I will explain the origin of kings who are born in the realm of humans, and by what means they become kings in their land. Blessed by divine kings, they enter into their mother's womb. Being first blessed by gods, afterwards they enter her womb. Once born in the human world, they become kings of humans. From gods they are born, thus they are called divine son. granting them a share of royalty and saying, "You are the sons of gods." The divine rulers of the 33 create such human kings in this way in order to bring misconduct to an end, thwart what is against the Dharma, and set beings in virtuous deeds so they may ascend to celestial abodes. The king of humans, be they Gandhava, Rakshasa, low caste, human or god, bring the end of evil deeds. These human lords, blessed by devas, to show actions ripening effect, are like parents to those who engage in virtue. They are empowered by the gods to show the fruition of deeds, of actions done well and wrongly done in this life. When the lords overlook evil acts committed in their land, and to those who are unlawful, fail to mete out befitting revenge, through neglect of unlawful deeds, that which is not Dharma will triumph. Conflicts and clandestine acts will befall the region over and over again. The Lord of Gods will be enraged in the palatial dwelling of the 33. When a king overlooks the presence of evildoers in his region, terrible clandestine acts will ruin and destroy that land. Upon the arrival of a foreign army, the country will utterly succumb. Resources and race too will follow away. Those who amass wealth through trickery and deceit will rob each other entirely of means. When a king does not perform the function for which kingship has been bestowed, he demolishes his own realm, as the elephant lord destroys the lotus pool. Unfavorable winds will arise, unfavorable rains will fall, the sun and moon will be unfavorable, and likewise the planets and stars. Where a king is negligent, famine will descend upon the land, seeds, crops, flowers, and fruit will cease to grow and flourish. When a king overlooks those who do wrong in his realm, unhappiness will befall the gods in their abodes. The king of gods will lament to each other, "Unlawful is this king, for he remains on the side of the lawless." Before long, the king will incur the wrath of the gods. When the gods reveal their rage, his kingdom will wither away. Mayhem will prevail in the land, but weapons too will give way. Overt acts, strife, and disease of every variety will come to be. Overcome by rage, the Lord of gods, and gods too, will ignore him. That land will lie in ruin, anguished sole company of that king. He will lose his beloved ones, even brothers and even sons. His beloved wife too he will part. His daughters will meet with death. Shooting stars will fall or rain down. Likewise, mock suns will shower fear of foreign armies, and famine will greatly occur. His valued minister, beloved elephant, and cherished camels will die too. People will pillage one another, seizing homes, resources, and wealth. Region by region throughout the land, they will slay one another with arms. Strife, squabbles, and deception will tear apart their land. Demons will enter into the region. Terrible disease will plague them. Even the venerable ones, their ministers and retinues too, will succumb to wickedness and deceit. When those devoid of virtue become venerated in their land, those law-abiding and virtuous ones will always be victimized. When the wicked are honored and the virtuous persecuted, three things, stars, water, and wind, will become calamitous there. When the wicked are embraced, three things, the flavor, essence, and power of the sublime Dharma, the strength of beings, and the quality of the earth will utterly perish. When the corrupt are esteemed and the sublime dishonored, three things, famine, thunderbolts, and death, will occur in that place. Fruits and crops will have no taste and no potency thereafter. Beings sickened with disease will fill those regions completely. Large, sweet fruit will shrivel, becoming bitter and sharp. Play, humor, and fun, the pleasures of previous times, now rife with infinite delusion, will lose the touch of joy. Fruits and crops will lose their succulence and force. They will cease to nourish the body, elements, or senses. Pale and lacking in complexion, beings will become weak, feeble, and without strength. Though they may consume much food, they will remain unfulfilled. Their stress, prowess, and energy will disappear. The country will become a mass of beings utterly without vitality. Multitudes of beings will become afflicted by various illnesses. Due to various cannibalistic deeds, they'll arise inauspicious planets and stars when the king is undharmic. And on the side of those lacking virtue, the triple realms in the sphere of the three worlds will completely perish. When the king is partisan, ignoring those who commit misdeeds, misfortunes such as these in the regions will come to be. When he overlooks those evildoers, a king neglects to wield his kingship according to the role bestowed upon him by the Lord of Gods. Those who perform virtuous actions will be reborn in Deva abodes. Those who commit negative deeds will be reborn among hungry ghosts, animals, and hell beings. When a king ignores those who carry out misdeeds in his realm, through those misdeeds, God will fall from the heaven of the 33. When a king does not fulfill his duty, he is no longer his forefather's son, and the king of gods will rain misfortune upon his kingdom. When his lands are ravaged by rampant disorderly acts, he should quell those transgressions and encourage positive deeds. Thus have the lords of God vested kingship upon him in the human realm. It is he who effects fruition for beings in this life, for he demonstrates the ripened effects of deeds done well and wrongly done. For this reason he is called a king, for his own welfare and that of all others. For the sake of order in that land, he is blessed and approved by the host of gods in order to bring harmony to his kingdom. He should renounce life and sovereignty and subdue the wicked and sinful in his domain. Should he tolerate lawlessness and wittingly ignore the unlawful, no other threat could be as terrible as this. As evil and wickedness arrive, if those responsible are not indicted, the country will be overrun by utterly objectionable criminals. As elephants demolish great pools, so these regions will be destroyed. As the abodes of gods will perish, the king of God will become wrathful. Then all things in that realm will be doomed to misfortune. Hence, those who commit misdeeds must be tamed according to their crime. In the realm protected in keeping with Dharma, the king should not commit unlawful deeds. Giving up even his life for the sake of justice, he should never succumb to bias. Should even once the king take the side of people related and unrelated, or of any person in his realm, he will utterly fall into prejudice. The fame and renown of that king who is virtuous in Dharma fills the triple worlds and makes the Lord of gods happy in the dwelling of the 33. Those gods will say, our son in Jambudvipa is such an honest king, establishing beings in virtuous deeds. He rules his kingdom according to Dharma. Through those good deeds, this king, through good deeds, this king helps beings arrive in our lands. He fills the abodes of gods with devas and divine sons, and he rules his realm according to Dharma. We, the king of gods, are indeed well pleased. Being pleased, the king of gods will offer protection to this human king. The sun, moon, and likewise the stars will move well. The winds will arise in due time. In due time, too, rain will fall. Prosperity will be ensured in the gods' abodes, and likewise in the realm of the king. Gods and God's divine children will always abound in that place. Hence, the king should forsake even his own cherished life, but never give up the Dharma jewel. To ensure welfare of the world, he should seek company with those sublime ones, fully adorned with virtue, happy with their people, and renounce from sinful deeds. Protecting his realm according to the Dharma, teaching well the laws of Dharma too. Those engaged in virtue should be encouraged, and he must refrain from evil deeds. When those who do evil deeds are accordingly tamed, year of abundance will ensue. Magnanimous will be the king, possessed of renown and fame, who reigns his subjects in peace. Thus ends the 12th chapter on the royal treatise entitled The Inviolable Commitments of Divine Kings from the King of Glory Sutras, the Sublime Golden Light. Okay. So, you got that last chapter, right? So the main job of a king or a world leader is to establish their people in virtue. When the beings in the land create virtue, they are then reborn in the God realms. So when the gods see uh, beings performing virtue, they're happy because their kingdoms in the God realms will increase. So then when the world leaders, ignore uh, misdeeds, misconduct, when they engage in misconduct themselves, then this, displeases the gods. So like that. So now, yeah, we did a few chapters and there's still a few more days. So I encourage you all in your own time, uh, with your, uh, with your own beloved ones, be they human or non-human, then you can finish, the sutra recitation. So now, let us recite some prayers for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So this first one, written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, peerless teacher and assembly of the children of victorious one, Shalakas and Prateka Buddhas, victorious Lozang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teaching, sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones made the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. The next prayer from Androla. Guru, think of me. Guru, consider me. Most gracious Guru, care for me. Most gracious Guru, do not deprive us of your compassionate refuge. Listen and consider this heartfelt prayer made by a tormented disciple. Guru, embodiment of the Buddhas of the three times, please bless me. You may rest in all-pervading great bliss, equipoised with a dhatu of unimpeded luminosity. Yet the playful dance of your loving compassion emanates in myriad ways. The time has come for the return of the swift appearance of your magical wisdom, the Rupakaya, and for you to care for us once again with your affectionate compassion. Arise, arise, arise from the Dharmakaya. I invoke you, I call upon you, I implore you on behalf of all beings. Do not rest in Kichara or the pure realms. Rather, to benefit the Buddha's teachings and all living beings, swiftly return to the southern continent to spread the Buddha Dharma of study and realization. Quickly return to guide us pure wretched beings, such as the desperate cry of us, your disciples. Return so that we may actually behold your presence and receive the blessings of your body, speech, and mind. All violations, errors, mistakes, and broken smile that we have made in relation to your body, speech, and mind, and spontaneous activity through our being confused and conceiving things in erroneous ways, we confess within the luminous emptiness of your three kayas. Of everything auspicious, the supreme auspiciousness, may there be the auspiciousness of emptiness and compassion. May there be the auspiciousness of a timely meeting between master and disciples. Through the force of truth of unchanging suchness, may the unmistaken reincarnation return quickly. This lament was made by me, and Dakini with pure faith and Samaya, her eyes filled with tears of sorrow. May these wishes of a beggar woman be fulfilled through the blessing of the deities of the three roots. Perception, its object, and the perceiver all dissolve within the expanse, the blissful clarity of suchness. Ah. Okay. So let's also dedicate for the long lives of the spiritual friends, particularly His Holiness Dalai Lama, and all his wishes be instantly fulfilled. May we also dedicate that we, our family members, all sentient beings be always guided by such perfect qualified uh, Mahayana gurus in this and throughout all the rest of our future lives until we become enlightened. May all of our actions only be most pleasing to the holy minds of the virtuous friends, and in that way may we fulfill all their wishes instantly. We also dedicate to all those who have recently died, all those in the bardo. May they be reborn in the pure land of the Buddha, or at the very least, attain a perfect human rebirth. Meet with the Mahayana Guru and Mahayana Dharma and attain enlightenment in their very next lifetime. We also dedicate for all those beings who are currently sick. May these beings be free from all their ailments and whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. Then we also dedicate all of the merit we've created, as well as all the merit of the 3 times by numberless sentient beings and numberless Buddhas, that all the war, all the violence, all the natural disasters, all the environmental degradation, all the illness, famine, all these causes of mental and physical suffering be instantly pacified right this second. Then that means, yes, just to clarify, then these wars that's going on, they end without another weapon being fired, you know? Okay. Then, with all these causes of suffering of body and mind being instantly pacified, and all the sentient beings have most conducive conditions for practicing Dharma and attain enlightenment as quickly as possible. Then for all the centers of FPMT, all the various projects, particularly Tushita Meditation Center in Dharmasala, all the other centers and projects of FPMT, may they have all their required conditions, including having necessary funding, having all the people, staff, volunteers, teachers, and so forth to help manifest all the courses and retreats that go on, all the various study programs and so forth. And thus may Tushita and all the other centers of FPMT be most beneficial for sentient beings and the teachings of Buddha. Okay. So thank you very much. And yeah, thank you, Kunpen. I will see you
Very
in a few
soon.
days.
In a few days. Thank you so much, Venerable Namjong La. Looking forward to having you here at Tushita in a few days. Thank you so much, and enjoy your last few days with your family in Hawaii. Catch some more sun because there is a lot of rain and storms predicted for next week. So warm
Okay.
up. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for coming.
See you
Enjoy.
very soon.
See you.
Thank you so much, everybody, wherever you are. So if you're in India, have a wonderful afternoon. If you're in the Americas, you would be still asleep, I think. We are very early. So tomorrow we move later again. We are jumping a little bit because we have so many teachers from around the world. So Geshe Khalsam Wangmo will join us. She's still the only female Western Geshe. And she was the first Geshe in 2011 to have been granted that very prestigious degree, of course, as a woman. So she will join us from Germany tomorrow at 5 o'clock Indian time. 5 o'clock Indian time, and she will talk about depending arising in today's world. Here we go. Dependent arising in today's world is one of her favorite topics. Yeah. So she loves that topic. She is amazing with emptiness, all these things. She's a geshe. She's an amazing human being. Have some good questions ready. And then of course she will also introduce the advanced course she always leads at Tushita in June. This year it will be on the tenets, on the philosophical Buddhist schools. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.